Thank you. You know, the greatest thing about showing up here today was learning that Howard had, in fact, graduated from college. That will shock everyone downstairs when I tell them what I've learned. I have a very funny story about going to the Black Museum. The first time I went there, I took some of our children. It was in February or March, and there was an Andy Warhol photography exhibit. And it was a series of pictures that he had taken using a Polaroid camera. And I don't know whether they'd ever been exhibited before, but Sheila and I and the children went in there, and we were looking. You had to get like right up next to the glass to see what was on the other side. And I looked in there, and I thought, man, that looks familiar. And I looked at it, and it was like I saw my sister Carrie, and then she had two women with her, and one married my brother, Michael, one married my brother, Bobby, and the three of them, they're like 19 years old. I'm like, what the heck is this? So I called Carrie. Sheila was very interested, and I said, no, what? There's this picture of you here. She said, picture of me? Well, when was it? I said, well, you look very young. She said, oh, I went to Europe. Oh, yeah, I went to Europe. We met. Andy was there, and he had one of these really funny cameras, one of those old Polaroids, and he just wouldn't put the thing down. And we had a great time. So it was fun for us, and it was a great connection between the museum and our children, who now every time they go to a museum expect to see one of their relatives framed on the wall. So, but I think that sort of connection between young people in particular, and generally people in Chicago and the arts, is something that this weekend is all about. And it's a reciprocal arrangement. That is, it's very helpful for the city, for people to support the arts, and it's very helpful for people if the city supports the arts. And we understand the nature of that reciprocal relationship because of the Black Museum, and particularly because of Howard's leadership. We run 85 major trade shows in Chicago, or from Chicago. Many of them are here. Chicago is a competitive advantage for us. When we're competing with Atlanta, when we're competing with Dallas, when we're competing with New York, when we're competing with shows in London or Germany or China, Chicago's our great competitive advantage because people want to come here. They want to be a part of everything that's here. They want to walk in the lakefront. They want to eat in the great restaurants. They want to stay in, you know, the world-class hotels. And the activities that we put on are not enough to keep the hotels first class, to keep the restaurants updated. We need all of the other vibrancy that goes on in the city. And the city was largely branded by Art Chicago, which indicated to the world that this was the best place to run an event that was intellectually important and on the cutting edge of perhaps the most important aspect of our community, which is our culture. And when that show went into decline, it affected all of our other businesses, and we were dismayed by that. And when it finally got very close to failure, and Tom Blackman nicely asked us to step in, we were happy to do so because the show was so important to everyone in Chicago. And when we started to rebuild it, we realized that we were in a terrible spiral because the great artists, the great collectors, the great dealers would not come to Chicago. The dealers wouldn't come here unless they were guaranteed that there'd be great collectors. The great collectors wouldn't come because they didn't believe that there'd be great dealers. And there was sort of a chicken and an egg situation there. And we went to Howard, and he was incredibly helpful to us. And he said, you know, don't sell the show, sell Chicago. Go and create an umbrella event. Go and get all of the different museums to contribute to that event, package it up, and then sell it to the collectors all over the world, and they will come to Chicago. They'll come to Chicago to see the Art Institute, to see the MCA, to see the Block Museum, to see the Spertus Museum. And if you can tell everybody all of those wonderful stories at once, you can get the collectors back. And when we can guarantee that the collectors will come, then the dealers will return. And that's exactly what we did with Artropolis, and it's taken us a couple of years. And the first year, everybody was like, oh, okay, well, we'll go along with you. And by this year, every one of 100 different museums is having a special event this week in Chicago. And in fact, collectors from all over the world, dozens of museum groups have returned to Chicago. And that is going to have a tremendous economic impact on our city, not just for the people who drive the taxis or work in the restaurants or the housekeepers in the hotels or even the owners of hotels, but long term, you know, when I talked about my children and bringing them to a museum, my children, you know, I don't want them stilted in the, you know, rooted in the traditions of the past. I want them to be thinking about the future and open to new ideas in a community that's, you know, embraces contemporary art, is a community that embraces new ideas, and a community that embraces new ideas is a community that embraces its future. And in my mind, that's what it's all about. Thank you all for being here tonight, or this afternoon. I appreciate it very much. And thank you, Howard.